Palestinian protesters burned pictures of President Trump as Israel braced for violence Wednesday ahead of the U.S. president's expected announcement that he recognizes Jerusalem as the country's capital, according to reports. The protest, in the West Bank city of Bethlehem, came hours after the U.S. State Department alerted outposts around the world to ramp up security amid concerns that Trump's decision may spark backlash against diplomatic staff. While Israel welcomed Trump's expected announcement, Palestinian officials declared the Mideast peace process finished, and Turkey said it would host a meeting of Islamic nations to give Muslim countries' leaders a chance to coordinate a response. The picture-burning protest came hours after Trump told Palestinian Authority and Jordanian officials that he also plans to eventually move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Israeli security services were preparing for the possibility of violence in the West Bank after Palestinian terrorist groups called for demonstrations in response to Trump's expected announcement, according to the Times of Israel. Intelligence Minister Yisrael Katz warned that violent protests would be a big mistake for the PA. "I suggest they don't create security tensions and don't lead down this road. We are ready for every possibility," he said, according to the Anet News website. There were no immediate reports of large call ups of military reservists or significant reinforcements to units in the West Bank. Hamas called for Palestinians to make Friday a day of rage against the occupation, rejecting moving the American embassy to Jerusalem and declaring it the capital of the Zionist entity. The militant Islamist group's chief, Ismail Haniyeh, warned that Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and recognize the city as Israel's capital would be a dangerous escalation that crosses every red line. Political factions led by Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas' Fatah movement also called for protest marches starting Wednesday, the Times of Israel reported. Fatah's youth wing said all options are open for defending Jerusalem. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Wednesday that Israel's historical and national identity is receiving important expressions every day, but especially today. In his first public comments since the White House confirmed Trump will make the announcement, Netanyahu avoided any mention of the decision, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz reported. Instead, he focused his remarks on the Iranian threat to the region. In a speech at a conference held by the Jerusalem Post, Netanyahu warned against the threat Iran poses, saying the country seeks to conquer the Middle East. Israeli ministers were instructed, per the White House's request, to keep mum on Trump's expected announcement until he makes a final decision on whether or not to sign the waiver that would determine the future of the embassy for the next 6 months. But Education Minister Naftali Bennett, who also spoke at the conference, called on other nations to follow the president's lead and also recognize Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish state. "The sooner the Arab world recognizes Jerusalem as our capital, the sooner we will reach real peace."